Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about September 2018. Okay, so the first exciting news to talk about is Saturn moving direct. Yay! Everyone say yay. I think maybe because Saturn, every year Saturn will retrograde once and go direct once. But because this is the first time Saturn has retrograded in Capricorn, because it'll do that next year as well, maybe it's a little bit stronger because Saturn and Capricorn are connected. So it can feel, oh, sorry, my necklace got caught there. Because Saturn in general is taking your time, planning the future, sticking with your standards, feeling your center. So when Saturn is retrograde, it makes you look deeper at those things. And this started in April, and then going direct here at the beginning of September. But it can be looking back upon your, recent past, whatever, and saying, where do I want to be? What are my goals? Why am I not meeting my goals? What do I need to change? What new disciplines can I reintegrate into my life? Because sometimes you can remember, oh, I used to do that and that worked well, because certain things have fallen away. And then you can reinstitute them. Or maybe you want to find new disciplines that will help you meet your standards, your goals, your dreams. But because Saturn can be about self-criticism or just, things you should be doing or not doing and kind of self-punishment, when Saturn's retrograde, especially when it's slowing down to move direct as it has been over the past few weeks, late August into September, it can be kind of a heavy load on your mind, or feel like I'm a failure, or things will never change, or everything feels stuck, or everything I do, just I'm blocked, The Saturn sitting still especially can be that way. So again, because it's in Capricorn, it can feel even more of that self-criticism or failure kind of thing, but also it can be the visionary quality that Capricorn can have. Sometimes you don't think of Capricorn and Saturn as visionary, maybe more Sagittarius like that. But, Capricorn is, I want to get to the top of that mountain. What would it be like if I get up there, and how do I need to get there? And it's more of a practical dreamer kind of a thing, where Sag would be like, I don't know, just winging a prayer trying. But Saturn wants to know, I don't want to waste time, I want to know how I'm going to get there. And if I failed the first time or I didn't succeed, what was it about it and what can I change so I do succeed next time I'm trying? So ultimately, the Saturn moving ahead in Capricorn can be really positive, but I think some people are feeling kind of some of the bumps because we just went through the Mars retrograde, and Mars is a similar way about moving ahead in life in a different sort of way. It's like, go for it, where Saturn is like, let's make a plan and proceed forward. But because both Saturn and Mars have been retrograde, I think people have been extra discouraged. So just the fact that Saturn's going forward now, Mars is already forward, it's like, okay, here we go. The other cool thing about Saturn moving forward is that it's making a trine, which is a positive flow of energy, to the planet Uranus. So Saturn's in Capricorn, Earth sign. Uranus is in Taurus right now, which is Earth sign. So Uranus is ingenious kind of ideas and solutions and things like that. So that's a nice pairing with Saturn moving forward. It can be kind of an aha moment or extra oomph to get that new plan moving. So that's really positive these first, week or so of September. So that's good. Okay. The other thing I want to go to is Mars. Okay, so talking about the Mars going direct, that went direct at the end of August. Yay that it's direct going forward, but it is in a process of catching up with itself, which it's going to do until early October, actually. But we're going to have a Mars-Uranus square. So that planet Uranus, that's the one working great with Saturn about genius idea, we'll do it. When Mars works with Uranus in a tricky way, because Mars is like, it can be anger or just like kind of might makes right, pushing forward, Uranus can be a sense of chaos. And so in Mars and Uranus square, that can be, you have to watch out for being stubborn. If you're going up your own little mountain, Saturn, Uranus, there's a little checkpoint when Mars squares Uranus, and that is around the 18th, 19th of September, and it's just a little 1 or 2 day thing. But it can be like watching for your own, like, if it's like, you know, being mad at yourself, being frustrated with other people in your way, that kind of thing can come up. And I'm bringing it up only because normally it's like, it just happens for a day, whatever. But because we had that retrograde, we had Mars square Uranus in the middle of, well, it was around actually the 19th of May when Mars was going forward, and then Mars went backwards, you know, starting at the end of June. Then it did the Mars-Uranus square again at the end of July during that total full moon eclipse we had. So it has a little bite to it now that we're having that last contact of that Mars-Uranus. So there can be kind of some other stuff that's been going on even since May, or especially you might want to, if you keep a journal or whatever, remember what happened the end of July. There could be a time to even have a lot of forgiveness about arguments you had with people. There could be breakthrough ideas, again, because Mars and Uranus don't have to be bad when they square. It's just sort of harder to reach for the smoothness about it. It seems easier to feel like something rubbing up against you in a negative way. But you could even kind of go back to something May or July that didn't quite work, and then it works this time. That could be working out an argument with somebody, or, you know, again, this new plan you've got in place, like now you have test ran things and it is starting to go smoother. There's a little bump in the road, but you can navigate it or something. So, but if you did have something big go on at that eclipse, it's good to say, what was it and how can that be untangling a little bit more at this point? So that can be a nice aha kind of thing, and it doesn't have to be a chaos deal. But if you do have to set limits with people, that can be interesting. If you've had a recurring pattern and you need to say, hey, wait, we really need to talk this out, or have a plan of how we deal with an ongoing problem or whatever, there can be a solution that brings a lot of relief for that last Mars-Uranus square. I'll talk more about Mars passing by its station point in October. If I remember next month to talk about that, I probably will. Okay, the next thing to talk about is the interesting new and full moons that we have. And again, I really feel like this whole month of September is about forgiving. It can be forgiving yourself, forgiving other people, whatever. But so the new moon, you know, when the sun and moon are together in Virgo, they're going to be opposite the planet Neptune. So we know Saturn is definitely a planet of high standards, and so is Capricorn, is a sign of those high standards and can be self-flagellating, like do better, do better. Interestingly, you know, Virgo classically has that critical, bad reputation, but oftentimes it's very, very self-critical. And it's more like, I don't know, Saturn is more about criticizing, like you're not at this level or kind of thing, but Virgo tends to be picking on like tiny points or something, and, you know, not seeing the forest for the trees. Like all around you're pretty good. You've got these little flaws, they can be adjusted, but they can be in zooming in on the flaws. You know, it's kind of Virgo's thing. So this new moon being opposite Neptune, Neptune is about the bigger picture. And it's about the forest, not the individual trees that Virgo is. So having that Neptune opposing the moon could be, beginning a plan of forgiveness, about meditating on kindness for yourself. There's, you probably know the Buddhist traditional prayer called Metta, M-E-T-T-A, which is the loving kindness prayer. Something like that about, the prayer is, let me see if I can remember it. This is one way to do it. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be healthy in body and mind. May I find peace and be truly happy. And then you can say it for someone you love, and someone you have challenges with, then someone you don't know very well at all, like a peripheral person, and then all beings. So there's this expanded warmth going out from the center of you. So, maybe tapping into something like that with a new moon, about not forgetting that to be kind to yourself, to be kind to others, these simple things. Again, not letting people walk all over you. And the kindness could be that you ask, set up something so the person doesn't take advantage of you. But also it's, being kind to yourself when you've had failures or not lived up to your expectations, and finding a way that you support yourself to do better the next time. So still moving towards your standards, but not being so hard on yourself, all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about with that new moon. So that could be a great way to manage that new moon. Well, here's my co-star over here, if you can see him. Okay, and then we want to talk about that full moon is interesting. Oh, did I tell you when the new moon was? It is the 9th of September. On the 24th, 25th, we've got the new moon, the full moon. Now, the full moon is going to be Sun conjunct Mercury, and that's always kind of great. It's Sun in Libra. Mercury is communication, a lot of good thoughts. Just the Sun conjunct Mercury can be, wonderful ideas coming about partnerships, romantic partnerships, business partnerships, things like that, because it's in Libra. But then it'll be opposite the moon, of course, because that's the full moon, moon in Aries. And I don't talk that much about Chiron. Chiron isn't a planet, but they think it's I think they think at this point it's a comet that got caught in our solar system, and it's between Saturn and Uranus. It has some kind of feelings about Saturn-y kind of stuff, but it's even more a sense of a wounded healer. And so that full moon with the moon close to Chiron, opposing the Sun and Mercury, and then also squaring Saturn in Capricorn. That's another kind of, it's a self-forgiveness piece in a different way than the Neptune. Neptune's just like, oh, sweet, poor little you, this kind of compassion and, that Buddhist prayer. But this is more of a continuation of that sense of kindness from making sure you are keeping on the patterns, the positive patterns that you want to stay on. There's kind of a sweet sort of almost not quite feeling sorry for yourself kind of thing with that new moon, but you need that coddling. Whereas the full moon is like, okay, we got this, let's keep moving. You can do it, And so it's just a really positive month in that way of feeling like you have all the pieces to accomplish your goals. Forgive yourself when you have shortcomings, take a breath, or you have a problem, and then keep moving. So there's a good energy, a good balance this month of keeping moving ahead, even though, it's not smooth sailing all the time, and there's a little backsliding, and you go forward. So, but you are going forward, without go forward, So it's a nice sense of self-compassion and compassion toward others this month. And so that seems to be the best thing here. I do want to mention that Mars is going back into Aquarius. Some people want to know that. And that's going to be on the 11th of September, 10th and 11th. And Mars in Aquarius is really good for connecting in with groups, having projects with groups. If you need to do that, it's kind of great for back to school sort of stuff and that kind of environment. And just learning in general. Mars in Aquarius likes to learn stuff. And okay, so if you would like to get a session from me, you can call or text at 248-583-1663, or you could go to my website, alunamichaels.com. And I'll see you next month, and bye for now.